Hi, everyone. This is Vanessa Mota. I am here with CAINEM as president of the United States for CAINEM, which is the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. And we have this Leading Fantastic Five, where we get to highlight five leading fantastic community leaders, entrepreneurs. These are amazing people here in the community of South Carolina. And today we have the honor of having Pam Greene, who serves as the director of South Carolina Office of Small and Minority Business Contracting and Certification. In this role, she connects small minority and women owned businesses with state contracting and procurement businesses with the state procurement opportunities via the state certification program, training, individual consultations, and business forums. She works with over 100 state agencies to implement and monitor contracting activities with minority businesses in accordance with applicable policies, laws, and regulations. Ms. Greene also spent over 25 years in financial services as the vice president in the arena of business development, self performance, team development, and training. She is a native of Anderson, South Carolina, a graduate of the University of South Carolina, and the proud parent of two sons. She is an avid believer in paying it forward and believes her calling is to bring knowledge and awareness to others to help empower them to advance their cause to create and build healthy and prosperous environments in our communities. This is Pam Greene. Out of all of this that we have just talked about, I can tell you she's an amazing woman, and I am so honored to have her here today. She has made a difference. Even she opened the door in the Latino community, and she's very diverse and she's very avid about helping people grow. I am one of those cases that can say, yes, I am one of those testimonials. So please, Pam, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what it is that you do? And how did you come to this, helping others and making this one of your, endeavors of helping others grow?
Vanessa, first of all, thank you. I feel very honored just to be a part of the quote unquote Fantastic Five as far as the community is concerned. I guess it kind of goes back to my financial services days where I had an opportunity to be a part of different task force to really talk about the issues and challenges of small businesses in our communities. I had the opportunity to work in several states, and just being in the room with a lot of small business owners to hear about, their concerns, their challenges, what they felt they needed in order to be successful, probably sparked that interest even more. I mean, my history was I've had a small business, owned a small business in the past, but just sitting in the room with a lot of these small businesses, and then eventually I became an advisor to a lot of the small businesses back in my financial services days. So being up close and personal with a lot of small businesses, honestly, it became a passion for me. I thought about the struggles I had as a small business owner years ago. And if I had the knowledge then versus what I had learned along the way, I could have probably saved myself some of the issues. So it was kind of trial by fire with some of that. So now being in this role with the state, it was just an opportunity that I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Someone called me to see if I would be interested. So all the dots started to connect of things I had learned along the way. And so having an opportunity to engage with a lot of people across the state, small business wise, has just been phenomenal. So meeting great people such as yourself and you helping me as far as the diversity piece and what was needed for the state as it related to the Latino market was huge for us to start really putting an emphasis on to kind of open those doors for certification and making those connections with procurement. So I hope I answered the bulk of your question, or did I miss something? Okay.
No, yes, you did. So I wanted to ask you, what is one thing as a, business owner before and now being an expert of small businesses, what is one thing that you see as a consistent trouble in entrepreneurs
I
or
believe
weakness?
you said a weakness.
A weakness and trouble, because they're not the same.
It's not the same, right? Based upon personal experience, it would have been just the whole financial piece in how do I manage the making sure that I've got a benchmark of or a bench of revenue constantly, just a pipeline. And in this case, what I was involved in, it was making sure that I actually had the client base, this continual client base, so that you can survive in the small business world. I always say you eat what you kill. So if
Yeah.
you aren't killing anything, then that means you're not eating. So sometimes in small business, we could have just a phenomenal year, but you got to keep that going month after month, week after week, day after day, so that you can actually sustain as a business. So it was really trying to identify, okay, who is my audience that I want to target, that I could constantly have, you know, a client base, and of course then a revenue stream, and really staying on that on a day-to-day basis. Because sometimes I think when we're doing well, we don't realize it until we're not doing so great, or we're running out of, either people to service or provide a service to or provide a product to, and then we find ourselves there. So it's how to pivot out of that, making sure we're in a constant mode of expanding.
And growth, right? So
Right.
with you having this financial background, I was just reading that the mentality of the poor. I was reading a book, and it was saying the mentality is, so the mentality of the rich is the entrepreneur world, the small business world. The
Mm-hmm.
mentality of middle class is having that degree and working hard for your retirement, and then the mentality of poor is, just living day by day, or you know, um, thinking that always there's a way out, with certain helps and certain resources. What would you say with that financial background that you have, and in the business world? Would you say that it is being an entrepreneur, if it's pivoted the way you're saying, and if it's growing every day, it could be the mentality of the rich? Or what is your knowledge on this, on this comment?
Well, I do believe that if you establish yourself appropriately, or at least put the mechanisms in place, when you decide that, you've got to decide, am I going to own a business, or am I going to be an entrepreneur? Is this going to be a side hustle, or is this truly going to be my company, my business? This is what I do. This is a make or break kind of a thing. So you have to make those decisions. I think that's the difference a little bit between sometimes when you think about the rich versus middle and poor, is that sometimes if we like the idea of being in business, but do we know really what it takes to be a true entrepreneur? Because with it comes, okay, I know my craft, I know my service, I know my product, I know what I need to do, but do I have the business mindset that's there or needed to sustain the business? And sometimes that's the difference, sometimes with how maybe the rich may think.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have it, you've got to bring somebody on that has that business mindset to help you, since you know your service and you know your craft. You've got to have someone there to balance the business piece of this. So I do believe that small business, I do believe that that is the way towards wealth. I do. I believe that that helps to break generational types of things in a lot of our communities, is by way of small business. And small business, pretty much, I think about 80% of jobs are tied back to small businesses.
Wow. Can you get a little bit more into that? 80% of
Mm-hmm.
jobs are connected to small businesses.
Because
Can
small
you
businesses,
show
yeah.
me that connection? Can you visualize it for us?
Can I visualize it? Thank you for putting me on the
Yes,
spot
because a
that
lot
way.
of people don't realize that. I
Right.
can tell you, it sounds good, but you
Mhm.
don't put two and two together a lot of
Mhm.
times.
So if you take a look at and you've got your mom and pop type businesses, obviously, that tend to hire people out of the community. Okay, that's one stage. Then you have a lot of small businesses. When people think small businesses from a SBA standpoint, a small business can be a business that has, 500 employees or less, and that still constitutes a small business. So that plays into that 80% number. However, the
Mhm.
start of a lot of this does branch from a small business that was a mom and pop that tends to grow, that becomes more generational, that moves into, different industries and things of that nature. So it does start with the mom and pops as far as employing those in our communities, and then branches from there. And it's
Wow.
hard to visualize that it's truly, 80% of the jobs are tied to small business in some form. It's kind of hard to see that, but it is. And I'll be happy to share. I think I've got some stats somewhere that talks about some of that.
No, thank you very much, Pam. I really thank you for all this great information. I would love for you to leave us with a message from Pam Greene, uh, with all this profound knowledge that you have. If you could leave us with a message, and thank you very much for, you know, for giving us your time.
Oh, sure, no problem. I am a believer in a part of my bio, I talk about paying it forward. I am a believer in, gaining knowledge. And I'm a believer that once you are at the table, that it is on each of us to bring others to the table. I often say that if you're not at the table, then that means you're on the menu. And so in order to be in the know and to understand what's going on in this economic world, we need to be at the table and make sure that we're bringing others to the table to be able to participate in this in order to grow our, entrepreneurial markets. So pay it forward always.
Thank you very much, Pam. Thank you for your time, and just thank you for everything. Okay.
Thank you so much. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of this.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
So this was Pam Greene. Thank you very much. And again, this is with the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs, CAINEM, and I am Vanessa Mota, and I represent the United States. And next we have Charlene. Charlene K. Fry joined the Casey West Columbia Lions Club in July of 2001, following in the footsteps of her late father, James Hendricks Kaiser. Lion Charlene served as a club president for 2 years. She also served as a zone chair and region chair before being elected as second vice district and governor of District 32D. Lion Clubs International is the world's largest service club organization with over 1.4 million members in 200 plus different countries and geographic areas around the world. Lions Club serves needs of the communities. Prior to the pandemic, we provided vision screening for most of the elementary and middle school students. There's also many things that the Lions Club does, and Charlene has been very involved in the community. But also, aside, the reason why we are highlighting Charlene today is because Charlene's also a business owner and can tell us a little bit about her business world. So, one thing about Charlene is a very community based business owner, which, just like Pam Greene, it ties into paying it forward. So, as her business was growing and making well, she always paid it forward with the Lions Club. So, Charlene, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? And, for us, it's an honor highlighting you today. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business, please?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to, talk about what I have done. I am a commercial real estate appraiser, and I started in the appraisal field in July of 1979, straight out of the University of South Carolina. And I was the first female real estate appraiser in the state of South Carolina. So I can honestly tell you, when it comes to many things, I have been there and done that. So I think I have a somewhat unique perspective somehow about how to be successful, because I have had the opportunity to, be around so many people that were wonderful mentors for me and gave me many opportunities to learn. And I always encourage people, when you have the opportunity to learn about something, take advantage of it. When I go out and look at a piece of real estate, I always ask, questions about, what is it that y'all are doing here? Where's your market? I always ask, because I always want to learn things. And you never know when that knowledge that you pick up will come into play. So I have had many wonderful experiences. Sometimes, especially at the beginning, there were questions about me being a female in this business. And when I was pregnant with my first child, I can't begin to tell you how many crazy looks I got when I would knock on the door and I was appraising houses, and people would come and open the door, and there was this 9-month pregnant woman who was going to measure their house. But that has changed a lot, and, that's a good thing. But the most important thing is to always, always pick up on every bit of information that you can. Always be nice to people, because you never know when they're going to come back into your life, and, you might need to call on them for help sometime.
Now, Charlene, you said something, and this is perfect because we're heading into International Women's Month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you said something. How did it feel? I want to hear the negative part first of being a woman during this time where you were the first female to be an appraisal, appraisal, and you were a woman. You are a woman. What was the negative part? And then what was that positive I can do it moment that said, yes, I can? So can you give me a little bit of those two as a businesswoman?
Yes. Well, there were lots of times that I bit my tongue quite a bit till, I thought it was going to bleed, because sometimes I may be in a statewide meeting and it would be 100 people there and I would be the only woman. And either, accidentally or accidentally on purpose, somebody might tell an off-color joke, and then everybody in the room would turn and look at me to see what kind of reaction they got from me. So that's why I said I bit my tongue quite a bit, because I could have pitched a fit and made a scene, but I chose to just bite my tongue and, go ahead with it. One of the comments that I heard that really upset my son the most was when I had not been appraising that long, and I went out to look at a house, and the woman came to the door and she looked at me and she said, "Oh, I thought they were going to send a real appraiser." Oh. And I, just smiled at her and, told her how long I had been appraising and everything. And she eventually, I guess, accepted me. I had another incident where there was an older gentleman that absolutely pitched a fit because my employer had sent me out to look at his house, and he was extremely ugly, but he eventually let me work with him. Then, much to my surprise, a few years later, he and his new wife were looking at houses, and he specifically asked for me. So that kind of blew me away, because it showed me that, he accepted me and realized that I knew what I was doing. There have been a lot of different situations that I have been in, and one of the, I guess, more unusual ones, I did court testimony, and so there was a particular judge in the state of South Carolina that was known as the hanging judge, and everybody was scared to death of this man. But I was testifying in front of him one day, and I had to actually testify out of order in order to be able to make it back for my oldest child's kindergarten graduation. And this judge, who was supposed to be so mean, let me testify. He asked me some questions. He was finished with me, and then he looked at me and smiled, and he said, "Now, I understand that you need to hurry back now to get to your daughter's kindergarten graduation." I said, "Yes, sir, Your Honor, I certainly do." And he said, "Well, now, you hurry on. Now, don't go too fast, but you hurry on, because I have missed way too many things like that, and you can't ever make them up." And so he was just so nice to me. And that just absolutely blew everybody away. They said, "Hanging Judge Peoples was nice to you?" So
Charlene, would you say that was your I can moment, or what was your I can moment?
That would have been one of the moments where, I realized that, being a woman is certainly, being treated in somewhat of a different manner. But when people, when I would have people whose opinion I greatly respected in the real estate community in general call me and specifically ask for me, especially one gentleman, insisted that I appraise his church that was under construction. Because to me, someone's church is something that is just so close to so many people's hearts that if they're wanting me and entrusting me to appraise their church, that means they have the utmost confidence in my ability. So,
wow.
I really appreciated that. There are moments like that when people say, there were other people in the office where I worked for many years, but when they would specifically ask for me in particular for what they were wanting, that really made me feel like, I had earned people's respect. And when I started in the business and everybody knew who I was, that just meant that I had to work that much harder and do a really good job and make sure I dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's, because people were going to review my work much more so than my male counterparts. So that's what I did. And it has paid off by people tracking me down, just to make sure that I can appraise their church, or I can take care of, any particular issue that they may have come up.
Give us a message to give to everybody. Could you just give us a message to, like as a woman, just a message. Thank you very much for everything that you have done for us today and for being here. We are a little bit with time, so we have other interviewees, but thank you very much. And if you could just leave us with a message. Thank you.
Yes. I would say always believe in yourself. And one of the most important things that you have is your integrity. In my business, I provide, opinions of value, and what they say about opinions. So sometimes my opinions are challenged, but believe in yourself and always stick to what, you believe is correct in your heart. And that way you will never lose sleep over anything you've done in business. You might lose a client, but it's better to lose a client than to lose sleep over having the feeling that you did something wrong.
Thank you very much, Charlene. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Again, this is Vanessa Mota with International Chamber of Entrepreneurs, known as CAINEM. Thank you for having me here. I represent the U.S. as president. And today we have Ron Harvey. Ron Harvey is a native of Florida. He is a certified leadership coach, speaker, trainer, and facilitator. Ron is an energetic, engaging individual who believes his purpose is to make a difference by inspiring leaders to excel through learning, growth, and adding value to others. He is the founder and vice president of Global Core Strategies and Consulting, GCSC LLC. Ron earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration and a Master's of Business Administration degree from Trident University. He also earned a certification in leader coaching from Georgetown University and certification in adaptive leadership from Harvard University. Ron is a certified coach with the John Maxwell team and the International Coaching Federation. People always matter. So Ron, aside from doing all these great things, is a phenomenal man, husband with his wife. His wife, Linda, is a beautiful person. And I had the pleasure of meeting Maya too. And Maya is, I can tell you, she's growing to be just a great leader like her dad and mom. Anyways, Ron, it's a pleasure to have you here. We would like for you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, as we are highlighting entrepreneurs and community leaders here in South Carolina. So if you could just tell us a little bit more of Ron.
Yeah, thanks, Vanessa, and thanks to CAINEM for the work that you're doing in the community. It's always fascinating for me to be able to share and give back to business owners as an entrepreneur, because I guess because so many of them struggle in trying to figure it out, and they want to be super successful. And having people, as far as a platform to ask questions, to learn, and to grow is what I really do it for. I mean, I enjoy being an entrepreneur. I enjoy helping other entrepreneurs. I enjoy doing community service. I enjoy adding value to other people. So the thing that I get the most energy out of is watching someone actually live their dream, whatever that may be. And so whether it's working in an organization and being a leader, or running a business and being a leader, or being a parent, I think it's the things that drive me and motivate me now. And so my real why is to add value to people, because I believe people do matter, and no time more than now that people need to understand that they matter.
Wow. So Ron, can you tell us how does leadership play a role in the entrepreneur world, in the business world? A lot of people seem to separate those two.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how they need to be connected, or what's the connection there?
Yeah, there are two components of business. One is tactical and one is strategic. And the tactical piece is you know your skill and your trade or your art, and you can cook the meal, or you can sew, or you can do whatever that talent is. That's very tactical. And the tactical component is super important. The part that we try to stress is leadership. Leadership is just as important as the technical trade. Leadership is the common denominator to get people to really believe in what you believe in. And so leadership, for our organization, we don't get to separate the two of them. It's almost like in anything that we do, there are multiple facets of it. So when you look at what you can do and what you've learned in the art of it, that's phenomenal. But at the end of the day, someone has to make a decision about the budget. Someone has to make a decision about taking care of people. Someone has to make a decision about how they respond to COVID. Someone has to make a decision, do our kids return to school? Someone has to make a decision about the racial injustice that we're dealing with. Someone has to make a decision about how do we bring our community together. And nothing about that is tactical. That's all leadership decision, and understanding and having emotional intelligence. And so leadership brings the human component of every organization, which there is a human component. And most of us do put it on the back burner, which is why you see a lot of business owners struggling, because they get good at running their doing the thing in their business, but they don't get really, really good at running their business and taking care of people. And that's huge for us in an organization. So the most successful thing I think business owners can do is figure out how to be a really awesome leader. If you don't, it's hard to keep your talent. You're on mute, Vanessa.
Oh, would you tell us the difference between a boss and a leader?
Yeah, I've never, in a funny way, I've never walked into a boardroom and heard anyone really get excited about the boss walking in the room. A boss kind of tells people what to do. A boss kind of looks down, and a boss has these expectations. A boss makes it about them. At the end of the day, it's about who can serve me and what I've earned, and my entitlement mentality, if you will. So a boss walks in with this thing of, if you don't get it right, it's almost like an intimidation factor. And so I know some people look at it, hey, I'm the boss person. Leadership is really not about you at all. At all. I mean, you've developed and worked hard. Leadership is really about serving other people. So when you separate the two out, for me, in my mind, and I'm sure that there'll be a great debate about this. For me, everybody I've worked for that had this title of boss felt like they owned something, or needed to get something, or had to share their point, and it had to be their way. Because in leadership, when I really figured out how to be an effective leader, I really would always ask people, how can I best serve them? And I'm a faith guy, and so in my faith, leaders take care of the people that show up at those places of where they worship at. And I'm not really trying to serve the person that's leading that. I'm really saying, how do I get to enjoy my faith? And so leaders have to figure out it's really not about you at all. It's all about the people that you're held accountable for and responsible for helping them live their dream. And so the difference for me in my head is boss take care of themselves, leaders take care of other people.
Thank you very much, Ron. Would you say that delegating is the hardest part in a business, a small business, when you start growing your team? Or what is your thought on delegating?
Yeah, it becomes the most difficult thing. And here's why it does become the most difficult thing. When you start a company, it's like your baby. It's like you've put all of everything you have into this, and now you kind of got to trust somebody else to do it. And so delegating becomes a task that we see, but the underlining part of that, Vanessa, is trusting other people with your child, with your dream, with your future. So even though we talk about delegating, the underlining thing that causes us not to delegate is lack of trust, because we're so connected to it. But I will tell every leader, your company can't grow to where it has the ability to grow if you're doing everything. If your company can't function without you, you've created a job. You didn't become an entrepreneur. You're not really running a company. You just created a nice job that you kind of get to come in and you get to do what you want, because some people create companies because they don't want to work for anybody else. I said, well, don't be an entrepreneur, because I can tell you, running a company, I got about 35 different people I have to report to. And so I'm still reporting to someone, all of my partners or clients. And so if you're frustrated about reporting to people, then entrepreneurship is, you don't think the entrepreneurship is going to get you away from reporting to people. And so delegating is a challenge, because people don't trust people, and they're so in love with what they have that only they can make the cake, right? Or only they can do the leadership, or only they can do the interview, or only they can do this project, or only, and the list goes on. Or here's a phrase I hear a lot: as soon as syndrome. As soon as I make enough money, as soon as I find enough time, as soon as this person gets smart enough, and as soon as, you can put whatever you want to put behind it. But most of us get caught in the as soon as syndrome, and we never move to where we could move to. As soon as, I get this loan, or as soon as, so the list goes on. People expect to be perfect before they go through the process to get perfect. And perfection comes with taking the step and going through the process. It doesn't come with you wake up in the morning and all of a sudden you got it all figured out. I've been in business since 2013. I still don't have it all figured out. Always be a life learner, and be willing to bring other people on your team to help you be great.
Yeah, I love all this about you. And I've even been in class with Linda as well, and it's the same thing. And I'm a true believer of that too. You have to let your teams grow. They will grow with you. If they grow, they're gonna help you grow too,
Yes.
And I'm also a believer of, you let them do. You tell them what the vision is, and then you let them do it in their own way, because not everyone's going to have the same. My dad always has a saying: if every brain were the same, this world would not be what it is right now. We all have different thoughts and ways of doing the same thing.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just I love all the things that you do, Ron, and everything that you do for for the community, and your leadership here is phenomenal. And I've always said, you're one of the people amongst others that I truly love what you do, and I follow what you guys do. And I would love for you to leave us with a message, Ron, for the communities on leadership.
Yeah, what would I share that people can really resonate with and use in everyday life? Leadership is the common denominator to everything. If anything's going to ever change, it does require great leadership. And great leadership is not about how smart you are, how many titles you have behind your name, or what zip code you live in, or what degree you have. Some of my best leaders had none of those things, but they cared enough to pay attention to me. And so when you think about leadership, what is it that you can do for someone that they can't pay you back for, that they couldn't get done if it wasn't for you, that will make a world of difference? And here's what I'll say to the world, you may be, one person, but to one person as a leader, you can make a world of difference. Who is that person that you can make a world of difference for just by being a great leader? So don't wait for the degree. Don't wait for the title. Don't wait for the position. You don't need any of that to be a great leader. Some of the best people I know have no titles, but they made the biggest impact in my life. Be that person that makes a difference for someone else that actually waiting for you to show up.
Well, thank you very much, Ron. Thank you for giving me your time here today. And
Thank
it
you
was
for
an honor having you. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Thank you for
very
everything you're
much.
doing as well.
Okay. Thank you. Again, thank you, Ron. This is Vanessa with CAINEM, the International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. And now we have Alan Brown, and he is a consultant here in the Midlands, coordinator and business consultant. Prior to joining the South Carolina SBDC, Alan Brown served as on active duty in the National Guard and Reserves in the U.S. Army. He also worked in manufacturing and banking as a commercial lender and wealth manager. He is a Six Sigma and Lean certified. Most business owners don't know what it means to be an entrepreneur because of this. They don't know what they don't know. The SBDC helps these individuals identify the gaps and blind spots in their plans and operations. Doing so can lead to aiding the small business owner to succeed rather than fail. He really enjoys the opportunity to help establish and grow small businesses in the community. His core recommendation is to all current and future entrepreneurs: be a student of entrepreneurship. Make entrepreneurship your profession. In doing so, you'll never fail. Some of the particular areas, interest, and expertise that he provides clients are business model development, sales, marketing, and things financially related. Thank you very much, Alan. If you could please tell us a little bit more about yourself. As president of the U.S. CAINEM, I wanted to let you know that to me, it's an honor highlighting these community leaders, entrepreneurs that we have in our surrounding areas. And today we would like to hear a little bit more about yourself. And if you could tell us, what makes Alan Brown to be a help in the community. Okay, something's going on with Alan Brown's. Okay, we've got you.
No, there we. So can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, great. So first of all, thank you, Vanessa. Thank you to CAINEM. Thank you for including us into the Fantastic Five. Welcome to welcome from Columbia, South Carolina, onto this international stage that Vanessa has given us a platform on. When I think about my start into what I'm doing now, really started when I was about 5 or 6. I remember being at home and my mom coming into the house and sitting there watching television, and she says, "I'm getting married." And at that time, I didn't really know what married was because it has just been me, my mom, and my sister to that point. But she says, "I'm getting married," and she marries this guy who took the time to invest in me and my sister. And he did so because he was a people person. He was very involved in the community, and he included us in the things that he was engaged in. And so that birthed in me a desire to give back to my community. And in the role that I serve in, I have an opportunity to do that at a large scale and impact, the local economy throughout the Midlands of the state of South Carolina. So we cover 4 counties in the middle of South Carolina, Fairfield, Lexington, Richland, and Kershaw counties. And then we have some impact on Newberry, Sumter, and Clarendon counties through the work that we do. So having responsibility for helping to create jobs, to help small business owners succeed and create the financial wealth that can change their lifestyle and their families for generations is exciting and enjoyable for me.
Thank you, Alan. What is one of the biggest small business focuses that you see? For example, the business market. Is it retail? Is it what's the biggest industry that you see right now in the Midlands?
Well, so probably not surprising due to the nature of logistics that and the importance and role that the state has taken as it relates to logistics. We see a lot of logistics companies coming through the Small Business Development Center in every aspect, from the guy in one truck to warehousing, to individuals wanting to figure out how to work with Amazon and their trucking platform, to the 18-wheeler tractor trailer trucking companies. People want to start those companies. So by and large, we get those most frequently. We also get individuals interested in healthcare, all aspects of healthcare, whether that's home health, personal care, physicians, dentists, chiropractors. By and large, I think those are the largest 2 areas that we see. But you name it, across the board, we probably see it.
See it all?
Yeah,
Okay.
we see stuff all. Yeah, we see it all.
Good. So I guess the saying is correct, right? Your passion can become your business. So I guess you see all sorts of passions everywhere, all over the place.
We do see a person's passion becoming their business. I would say that a person's passion that they can get started and then use what Ron said, right? Kind of develop their leadership ability are the companies that tend to do well. We firmly believe that a person's why is the biggest inspiration to help them, and the biggest motivator to help them get through tough times like we've been experiencing since last year. Entrepreneurs who have not connected their why to the daily grind of being a business owner tend to struggle and don't last beyond the first 5 years.
With that said, what's the fastest failing industry that you see coming in, and you see them as soon as they're coming in, you're like, oh, they're not going to make it past 2 years. They're not even going to make it past 3 months.
Well, I wouldn't put it at an industry. What I'll say is a type of business, and the type of businesses that requires significant amount of capital, where the business owner is what we call chronically undercapitalized, are the businesses that fail the fastest. And basically, it means is that they don't start their business with enough capital to get it to the point where it's stable. And by stable, I mean, every industry has its own constraints. It has its own processes and methodologies that limit a business from operating successfully or helps it to operate successfully. When an entrepreneur doesn't become a student of the industry, like I said, like you read in my bio, doesn't think of entrepreneurship as a profession and continue to find out what they don't know, continue to learn, to figure out new ways to grow their business, they fail because they don't have the capacity that's needed to cause their business to succeed, right? They have an opportunity in front of them, but they can't garner the resources to capture it.
Yeah, that is true. Wow. Thank you very much, Alan. I really appreciate everything that, all the phenomenal information that you have given us as one of the leading Fantastic Five. And if you could please leave us with a message from Alan Brown, for the rest of the entrepreneurship business world.
So this quote, is a quote that I learned through my 18 years of marriage. And it was something that my wife taught me. I got from her, and it's my philosophy as it relates to working life. And it's this: teamwork makes the dream work. If the dream ain't working, it's probably because the team ain't working.
Teamwork makes the dream work. That's true. Thank you very much, Alan Brown, and I hope you have a wonderful evening or the rest of today, okay? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vanessa, for having me.
Thank you. So last but not least, we have Daniel Andrews. Daniel Andrews, again, this is Vanessa Mota, U.S. President for CAINEM, International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. Thank you, CAINEM, for having me here and for allowing me to open this platform for these leading Fantastic Five. Our last but not least is Daniel Andrews, is a South Carolina native and spent most of that in Colombia. He has been self-employed in one form or another. Since 1988, as both an independent contractor for national brand names and a business owner, he attended college in Atlanta, Georgia, and returned home to lead a direct sales team that set consistent records for production. In 2003, he moved to St. Louis, where his second attempt to launch an employee benefits brokerage was successful, then moved to Houston, Texas for 3 years. He returned to Colombia in 2016 to be near family and brought with him the Houston-based brand name Network in Action, known as NIA. He has successfully helped people build strong business relationships through strategic connections for over 4 years. So this is our Network in Action guru, Daniel Andrews. If you could please tell us a little bit about your motor. What makes Daniel Andrews Daniel and his business?
Sure. Thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I want to make sure I'm coming through loud and clear. Wow. What makes Daniel Andrews run? I'm an extrovert at heart. I love to meet people and do it easily. And the skill or talent, however you want to think of it, that I have that makes me effective at what I do is that I'm able to recognize patterns and connections between different industries. I can see places where people can build a potential relationship with another business in the area. Sometimes someone who they may consider to be a competitor. Sometimes somebody that would obviously be a good a mutually beneficial business relationship. Sometimes some of the not obvious ones. It really depends on a lot of things, but I'm able to kind of pick apart what people are doing and what they have available to them in their business and figure out where does that intersect with somebody else's business. That sounds fairly squishy and intangible, so let me give a better example. It's pretty clear that a mortgage lender, well, not the lender, but a loan officer and a real estate agent can do a lot of good for each other. Occasionally people call the lender first to get pre-qualified, then ask for a referral to a realtor. Sometimes people know someone in real estate and then are told they need to pre-qualify and they ask for a referral to a loan officer. So that's That's a pretty standard and common business relationship. I was talking once with a mover who said, "Oh, I understand that. You know, I talk to a lot of realtors. They all know who I am." I said, "Great, but do you know any divorce attorneys?" He's like, "Oh, I never thought of that." I mean, the connection's quite obvious, right? But he had never thought of it. And I said, "Okay, so that's kind of where I see, the things that aren't necessarily all that obvious, and can help people find ways to do that." I've actually had two people both sign companies. The name of their business includes the phrase signs, and I, had sat down with them at lunch, and they were both a little tense because they thought, they were being going to lunch with their competitor, and at the end of lunch, they're like, "I had no idea how much we don't do in common, and how much we can help each other, achieve what our customers want by using each other to provide the services that we don't provide." So but I can see those things, and I don't know where that gift came from, but it's the gift I've got, and that's what makes us run.
So what I am hearing from you is that in networking, there's really no competition. Networking, if you have two people that do the same thing, there are ways to collaborate with each other through networking. Is that what I am hearing from you?
I would say that is my philosophy, and I would say that I work best with people who share that philosophy, because not that I think that everybody's best long-term business development partner, so to speak, is someone in their same industry, but anybody that would rule out somebody as a potential relationship and referral partner just because they're in the same industry isn't really thinking about this the right way. And that's not just an opinion, that's the experience that I've had, as I've worked with people, going along.
Tell us a great thing or a takeaway that people can take by networking, especially entrepreneurs and business owners. What is a large takeaway or a large benefit from networking?
I would say that two things come to mind. The first is the potential, if done right over time, to generate additional revenue. But more importantly, the resources that also come into play, because not everything that you need in your business is more revenue. Most of us would like more revenue, but that's not the only thing we need. Some of us may want better vendors. They may want better relationship partners. They may just want different customers that are willing to buy. In other words, there's times you can keep your revenue the same, but reduce the number of customers you're dealing with by either dealing with a different customer or a different product or service inside your value menu. So it would be, and sometimes the resource, and I use that phrase very generally, it can be simply the sense of community that shows up by being around people that are striving, that are business oriented, that are building something for themselves or with a partner. So the sense of community that comes from, I'm not the only one out here trying to make it happen, is a huge part of it.
Thank you. If you could tell people in three steps, easy steps like crawl, walk, then run, what would be three easy steps for networking?
The
first beginner networker.
Sure. Be genuinely interested in the person you're talking to and what their needs are, not what your needs are. Number two.
Listen. Okay.
Yep. Number two, networking is not selling. When you're
relationship,
you don't treat everybody as a prospect. When you're networking, you're determining who may be a prospect. But if you're thinking long term, you're more importantly determining who might be able to lead me to prospects. Who in this room deals with the same sort of people I deal with at roughly the same moment in time or in their lifespan. And then third would be follow up. Cash is the currency of transactions. Trust is the currency of relationship. Go to coffee, go to lunch, show up when you say you're going to show up, make the introduction when you say you're going to make the introduction, do the things you say you're going to do. And that is your crawl, walk, and run right there. Mastering that skill may take a while. Some people do it naturally, but that's your crawl, walk, and run right there in a nutshell.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Can you please leave us with a message from Daniel Andrews as far as networking, being the networking guru, and, just for us business owners to be able to grow more?
Sure. Networking is still going on, some digital, some in person. Look for it, find it. My organization publishes a newsletter every week at no cost of free and low cost networking opportunities. So if you find Daniel Andrews Network in Action on Facebook as a business page, not the one of me in a t-shirt and sunglasses, but me in a suit and tie. That's the logo you're looking for, the emblem, the icon, the avatar, and click sign up, hit like, and hit sign up, and we'll send you a newsletter of free local networking events in the area every week.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you for everything. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you here today. And again, this is Vanessa Mota, U.S. President of CAINEM, International Chamber of Entrepreneurs. And we are here again highlighting the Leading Fantastic Five. And we hope to see you again next month. Thank you very much.